Hello, beautiful souls. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. This is a reading guided for starseeds and light workers, any souls that are attracted to our beautiful tribe, our community that's slowly growing, but it is growing. This is for the 31st through the 6th, right? First week in April, which has my birthday, so I'm pretty excited about it. Yeah, if you have not tuned into the Aries eclipse reading that I did, that's up on the channel. It should be on the home screen for any returning subscribers. I knew this was going to be. I knew it, dude. Okay, so, all right. I have so many thoughts all at once, of course. I'm reading this book right now, which I read quite a few books in the last week, but hold on, let me grab it. I'll link the new moon reading if you haven't seen it. Wars of the Anunnaki by Chris Hardy. I also ordered her other book, DNA of the Gods. So I'm going to be reading that too. Before this, I reread the Giza Power Plant. And I'm also in the middle of reading Morphic Resonance by Rupert Sheldrake, which he's an incredible... sometimes I feel like Rupert Sheldrake, he has such an incredible mind. He's like Dan Winter too. Like they are so energetically ahead of the rest of the consciousness, the rest of the collective consciousness, that it's always a treat to listen to him speak. So wanted to read his book. And then the other one that I got, well, here's the there it is. Here's the Rupert Sheldrake book. Have not started that yet, but I do understand his concept of morphic resonance because I have heard him, like I said, speak so many times. And then this one, The Light of Egypt, which Egypt has been coming up a lot for everybody. But this specific symbol came up through a synchronicity. Then it came up in my dream. And then this book was on my Amazon list. And I don't know how it got there. Like, I don't remember putting it on my list. Granted, I have a lot of books on my list. And then as soon as I opened up the book and just read the preface and the introduction, and I was like, okay, this is definitely a book for me. I believe it was first published in 1889 or something like that, and it has to do with astrology. So once I finish that, I will definitely share my thoughts. But my point of this, let me go back. My point of this divine union is because it came back up again with the Wars of Anunnaki book by Chris Hardy. And we talk about divine union all the time in a sense that it is the marriage of the feminine and masculine, right? That's the original point. Within the feminine and masculine within, it is not something external. Here it is. Here's the image. The crowned green lion, first stage of the philosopher's stone, showing Hermes the Christ and Sophia the wisdom involved in the great work. And I really kind of focused on divine union, or let me rephrase that. My focus was brought to divine union strongly when I was reading the Return of the Sophia book. And as usual, the birds are now going to talk because I'm talking. They were quiet this whole time, so I sat down to record, and here we go. Accessing that inner Sophia, that inner wisdom. For me personally, and I feel like for a lot of you watching right now, I wouldn't say that it's becoming harder. I would say that it's becoming more technical. It's becoming more layered. It's becoming more complex. In a sense that all of us watching right now, as starseeds and lightworkers, and especially just as the starseed and lightworker collective, have transcended most of the typical, easy, normal, I don't want to use stuffy, but like the stuffy techniques, right? It's more than just simple go into meditation, but it's not, but it is. Like, it's... So anyway, my point is I'm trying to gather more information so I can share it with you guys on more complicated or more complex or more higher and more elevated ways to access the inner feminine or the inner masculine or the inner wisdom that we have within ourselves, the God source energy, right? And I've been trying to gather more information by reading more books, really, essentially, but also just trying to find more texts, more different gurus, different teachers. That anyway. So I'll share it with you later on, because I pre-shuffled this deck already, and then I shuffled it one more time. You saw me do it on camera, and then of course the divine unit is on the bottom. And I think this is the focus right now, especially with Venus and Mercury retrograde, because that was also my other thing. That was also a big synchronicity here. As I was reading that one page last night, Hermes obviously being Mercury, and then Sophia being Venus. So the fact that they're both retrograde, I think, brings our own inner masculine and feminine out. And I know that obviously Mars would be more, the god of Aries would be more the inner masculine, and Venus still obviously is the inner feminine. But right now with Mercury and Hermes coming up so much synchronicity wise in my life, 555 on the camera, and 5 is a number for Mercury. I love how that happened. But yeah, I feel like it's allowing us to access those parts of ourselves that we have not accessed before, especially because when Mercury is retrograde, I know I keep repeating myself, but we head into that underworld part, right? Yeah. Okay. All right, I'm going to take those two as well, but can I get one more? Can I get one more? This deck, by the way, and she has another deck out, which I want to purchase, and I keep forgetting. Cheryl. I know you guys enjoy suggestions, because you guys most of you watching right now are also readers. This one, I've had it for a very long time, and I have the other one, the Transcendent Oracle. She literally creates these images, so in meditation. I mean, it's these cards are very profound. Anyway, preparing for a major event. It's kind of funny. We keep going through cycles of this, and I watch so many different things, and I listen to so many different people, and there's so many different versions out there of what's going to happen next on the ascension path. But then you have the typical, the world is ending, the end worlders, and in my head I'm always like, you know what, if it ends, it ends. It is what it is. Gaia can do whatever she wants. She is her own consciousness. But you're seeing it a lot of people just, especially with lately, like the biggest story the last week and a half has been the underground tunnels at Giza. And I keep laughing because I'm seeing all these comments and everyone's like, oh my God, this is new. It's new. And I'm like, not really. Actually, the original person who suggested it was Heraclitus, which was way back. I think it was in 300 BC or something like that. And then you had, actually, don't quote me on the timeline, but a very, very long time ago. Then you had the Edgar Cayce readings. And then, like I said, I just reread The Giza Power Plant by Christopher Dunn, because he's been saying it for the last 25 years, that the Giza Plateau is much more than what we think it is. And he's not very, he even says it in the book, but I mean, actually, lately he has been releasing more content saying that he's evolved in his way of thinking, obviously, as everyone does over 20 years of time. So he's a little bit more spiritual nowadays, but when he was writing the book, he kept saying, I'm not, this conspiracy theorist, I'm not this, like, very spiritual person, but I'm telling you, basically, he was saying that he believes it was literally a power plant, especially the Giza, pyramid itself. But the entire area was constructed for that purpose. So going back to this, everyone is speaking on that. It's a really big, it's the next interest, the next mass interest. First, before this, it was the drones, which everyone got quiet about. But hey, just so everyone knows, it's still happening. It's still very much happening. It is not an FAA-approved thing. Like the Trump administration wants to say, it's not. And you know me, I've always suggested it. Any UFO, UAPs that we see, most of the time, I would say like 85-90% of the ones that we see are ours. Okay, it is our technology that we have up there that we have reverse engineered, starting with Roswell. Also, that's another book that I forgot that I also reread that. The Day After Roswell, that's a good one, by Philip Corso, Colonel Philip Corso. But there's not much in there that I didn't already know. But if you already know kind of like the overlay of what happened with Roswell and after that, then it'd be a good book. It's like $11 right now on sale on Amazon, I think. But this major event can come in many forms, is my point. I'm trying to like circle back to this card. We're always on the precipice of some major event, it seems, right? There's always the next big thing. I mean, and those of us that are old enough remember how crazy the world went when it was Y2K. And then I feel like, though we did go on a different timeline. And then unfortunately the following year, the biggest thing that happened was 9/11. And I think that that's when it really started to open up people's eyes of seeing that the powers that be do not tell the truth ever. And the truth is out there for sure, to quote Mr. Fox. But this major event, with all that aside, I know you feel it. I feel it. I know that there's a major event happening. Now, some people are saying, like, if you, I don't know, suspicious observers, but I think now he renamed his channel to Space Weather News. I've been watching him for like 3 or 4 years, I think. A while. Basically, there's a lot of peer-reviewed research out there. There's articles that are released almost every single day about the effect of solar wind and just any solar influence on the Earth's magnetic field, and how that is really the cause of what is going to be the poles shifting. You know, that the planet is going through an excursion event. So in those people's eyes, you know, the major event is going to be that by 2030, 2032, maybe even earlier, the planet will go through a massive, almost basically 1212 on the camera when I said it's an EM pulse, right? It's going to shut down everything. No one's going to have internet. No one's going to have power, at least for a few days. If it's even crazier, like, oh my God, for some reason I can't remember his name right now, which is really annoying because I've been watching him, like I said, for 3 years. But the guy that runs the Space Weather News YouTube channel, he thinks it's going to be basically like the day after tomorrow. All right, the movie The Day After Tomorrow, caused by the sun. Then you have people who are watching what Elon Musk is doing and their major event, which this is most likely, the more likely situation is we're going to be heading towards that transhumanism path where AI is going to be incorporated. I'm more leaning towards that as the main event, the major event, the main event of WWE. The matches that we deal with on a daily basis. Musk is ahead of the game, or he's kind of like the leader in the sense when it comes to this of releasing the Tesla robots. And for me, for someone like me who works in a warehouse, I'm always giggling and joking because all these people that have just got to this new job with me and they're like, oh, I'm going to be here for 25 years. And in my head, I'm thinking, no, you're not. These robots really will replace these mundane, very physical jobs, like i.e. in a factory, in a warehouse. And Tesla really has already suggested it. Like, they're planning to, I think they said, to manufacture 2 million of them by 2027. And companies like Amazon, Target, Walmart, they're going to purchase these robots because why wouldn't they? It costs more initially, but it saves money over time. Robots don't get sick. They don't need vacation time. They don't, need to take rest full period, especially the Tesla robot. I think it goes to fully charge in like 10 minutes. And it's smart enough to know when it's dying. So it literally, they had the video of it walking over and recharging itself. Sure, it does little tasks right now. It's not like very advanced, but because AI is incorporated in it, it learns. It's a self-learning machine. So we all know what road this is going to lead down, right? I'm not scared. I try not to be fearful of it. I try to think positively, because in my head, I'm like, well, if in 5 years, my company that I work for, which I don't want to say publicly, Well, I don't give a shit. Ace. I work for Ace Hardware. At the warehouse. If they decide, hey, we're going to replace everybody with robots, I think of it as a positive way, like, okay, well, then that's going to force me to go do something that's not so physical. Now, the third major event comes from people like, let's say, David Wilcock. Actually, not just him, but people like him, but not just his version, is what I was trying to say, of our own ascension that's not going to be catastrophic. In a way, it's the complete opposite of catastrophic. You know, you see it in a lot of religious texts, a lot of spiritual texts. Every religion has its own version of a rapture, right? Of some kind of big, massive event where those who are chosen, and those who are not. And through people like David Wilcock, I'm just using him as an excuse because, you know, I read all his books and I tune into his lives every time I can for his weekly lives. But he's kind of completely changed, let's say it that way, which again, it's okay. Everybody does. So yeah, then there's the other one of it being completely catastrophic, the ascension of so there's two different versions of ascensions, right? That everyone thinks is going to happen. Again, one is non-catastrophic, where it doesn't matter if you've been on the path of a positively oriented way of trying to be as spiritually minded as you can. And then there's the other one where no, if you haven't, then you get left behind on a different timeline. I feel like people are still on two different timelines. I think it's kind of obvious to me, but that's just my opinion. Obviously, that's subjective truth. I don't know what the objective truth is on that. I'm not entirely... There's evidence that the Earth is going through, like I said, with the first version of this major event, 1010 on the clock, which is a negative... Actually, going back to that 1010 used to be a frequency from the negative alien agenda, so... yeah, that might be what it... And the Zetas messed with... messed with a bunch of things around the sun and the moon. So... we could see that timeline still. It's still a potential. I feel like every timeline is a potential anyway, right? So, and who are we to say this is exactly what's going to happen, this is exactly what's not going to happen? If we knew exactly what was going to happen, we wouldn't be here, right? Having this experience. We're not completely able to see what the future event is. The future is always changing, quoting Yoda, right? You can't see the future. You can't. But there are patterns, there are cycles, there are rhythms. And if anything, astrology teaches us that. And actually, going back to the Chris Hardy book, she speaks on that, about the Anunnaki really not... they used oracles, which were human-based. She kind of has the theory that the Anunnaki were not spiritual at all. They didn't have a god or an all-source, except for the creator of all that they do mention. But they didn't worship this God like they made us humans worship them. And in that sense, I don't really know where I'm going with this. I kind of just lost my train of thought because I was thinking about the fact that we have always been a slave race, right? So whatever major event, I feel like we're already prepared for it. We're already spiritually prepared for it. Mentally, physically, I don't know. Because it's whatever this is. On a frequency level, those of us that have already been awakened to our spiritual journey will understand. We're very understanding of that, right? But it will still physically be like a shock, right? Whether we want to admit it or not. Whether it's going to be some kind of Project Bluebeam situation where we see these supposed alien life forms landing and helping us on our ascension, and if it's genuine or not, or blah 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 blah. We're not gonna know. We won't know until we know, right? It's one of those situations where we can speculate, we can guess, we can try to see what the most likely situation is. Which again, for me, I feel like the major event is the fact that we're heading towards, I can't even speak, towards a path of transhumanism. That's the most realistic thing that I'm seeing. But I don't know everything. Disconnect, go underground for a while. I feel like it's a thing that we have to do daily, right? It's something that we have to do daily. Where we have to remember to disconnect and not get so entranced by the miasma, by the fakeness of it all, because it is real, but it is not. And that's the confusing part, I think, of a spiritual journey, is trying to understand what to fully connect in, what to fully be invested in, what to give your 100% or 100% of your all to, and then what to know to not. God, I am so articulate today. What to not give 100% to, right? It's confusing. Yeah, especially being around people all the time. Like, if those of you that have to work in the workforce know what I'm talking about, it's tough out there. It really is. And I personally, I feel like we do just need this mass disclosure on everything. And I feel like everyone who says no, that people can't handle it, oh well. Oh well, truth should always come first. If these people that are very stuck in the miasma or stuck in the matrix, whatever you want to call it, can't handle it, oh well. Truth should be the priority. See, that's the part of me that stays too connected. I get so passionate thinking about it. Like, I feel like we do need this mass shift, because it's not all of us. I feel like everybody on this planet needs to go through this mass shift. It's time, and for me personally, I feel like it's go big or go home at this point, right? And go home can mean go home to where you came from, or go home as in here, home, Earth, Gaia. There's no death. Goddess Isis, yeah, she's a recurring energy for us on the channel. She is one of my Ascended Masters, so I'm not surprised. But in this image, she's carrying that Ankh of life, like she always does in the Wings of Ascension. For me, that's the Wings of Ascension. Obviously, again, Egypt and the Giza Plateau and everything that's going on right now. That's the point, right? That's what I think the point that our ancestors were trying to make with any monolithic structure, any evidence of what they created that was left behind. The point is for them to relay the message of there is no death. There's only life. Repeated life. Over and over, life. Death, while it is physical, and we do see the evidence of it, and sometimes we see the negative, evil evidence of death, unfortunately, it's been happening for eons. It's just, I think everyone is just more aware of it nowadays. Genocides have been around forever, especially genocides tied to religion. And Goddess Isis coming in and letting us know that we need to use death as a tool. It's a tool. Whatever this major event is. Like I said, there's like the negative, destructive, chaotic, catastrophic timeline that some people believe in. And then there's the positive ascension timeline that other people believe in. I don't think the world is ending yet. I don't. I think we have a lot to learn, a lot left to do. If it does end and I'm wrong, well, then I guess it's time for a re-cleansing. Time for a reset, like we have gone through so many times before. And I'm sure you and me and everybody watching right now is part of that group that will be here again. We will reincarnate again, whether the world ends or not. Okay. I can't believe we're 25 minutes in, guys. I'm just ramble and I ramble and I ramble. This is why I keep saying, like, I needed to just focus on doing, like, a podcast, because that's more the... Anyway, what is this? Can we actually get into the reading? Sorry, guys. Alchemy, another thing that keeps coming up. And, again, divine union is part of that alchemy. That's the point. That's the alchemical process. What else? Healing, crisis, and purging. Yep. Yep. I'll talk about them in a minute. Belief systems. And the last one. The power of sound. I knew that was going to come up because it kept popping up in the pre-shuffle. Sound. Which, speaking of Egypt and the building of the pyramids, that was one of the theories of how they move the stones around, right? Sound and frequency. Look up the Coral Castle. I can't remember his name, but this guy that built the Coral Castle did it completely alone. He would move these stones that were like 2 tons completely alone. He did not need anyone. And he took his secret to the grave. Like, he didn't tell anybody how he did it. He would even tell the people to turn around and not look at him when he moved from his original spot because he got robbed or something and he felt like the frequency was off, so he moved his Coral Castle somewhere else. Yeah, he didn't let anybody know. And so there's some speculation that that's exactly what our ancestors, our Egyptian ancestors, were using, was the power of sound and frequency to move the stones. Sound. It's funny because I was having this conversation, I think it was with my son, actually. Yeah, because he asked me. He did the whole, would you rather be deaf or blind thing. And I was like, yeah, I don't know. I give so much props to people who were born deaf or born blind, because I don't know if I could do it, especially deaf, because I was thinking about it. I'm like, I don't know if I could sit with my thoughts like that all day long. Like, listen to nothing, absolutely nothing. And a lot of them say it's like a humming, like this humming. And then it makes you think, well, are they listening to the natural hum of the planet? Because they can't hear anything else. So anyway, the power of sound, noise, frequencies. We're being asked to use that. I'm trying to go back to that. I've been sleeping with only, like, because I kind of got back into falling asleep to the TV, like falling asleep to a show, or most of the time it's some YouTube gamer that I watch. So I've been trying to not do that. I've either been completely muting my TV, or I've been trying to listen to healing sounds and healing frequencies and falling asleep to that. And I'm telling you, every time I do that, like last night, I remembered every single detail of my dream, and I was able to write it down this morning. It was a long-ass dream. And of course, it had to do with Egypt. And of course, I woke up at 3:33 to write it down. So the power of sound is one of the base elements of creation, right? Sound, light, what's the third one, guys? What's the third one? Sound, light, and... Oh, hello. I don't remember. Somebody will say it. But sound and light are 2 of them. And our suggestion is to use that sound. Now, I'm going back to the belief systems for a minute, because there is also that part of the belief system of, is sound useful? Is it not useful? What are our belief systems surrounding sound itself? Noise. The noise around you, the noise of everyday life, the noise that you have in your head when you're alone, right? The noise when you're around other people, the noise. What is your belief systems around that? What is your belief systems around your healing crisis, the healing crisis of the planet? I think this is more of a collective reading. This feels more of like a collective reading of what we can expect this week to go through. So look into alchemy, look into your belief systems, look at the world as going through its healing crisis and purging, which we've been saying as a community for years now, right? All of us that have been watching that followed me over to this third channel, we know that the planet has been purging since at least 2018. I've been saying it, like, since that Leo eclipse of 2018 kind of pushed everyone and propelled everyone over the edge to start purging. And then 2020 hit, and the world went crazy. The world went nuts, and I was like, oh my god, we are not as ready as I thought we were, like, people just turned so vindictive, they turned so egoic, they turned so unwilling and unyielding to see more, to be more flexible, to be more perceptive. They very much followed the leader. They did not, and I was a part of that in a way. There was a part of me that thought the wrong thing. So I did take the jab, unfortunately, and so did my kids. We took the first jab. If I could go back, I probably wouldn't have. But I really genuinely thought that the cabal was gonna kill everybody. I did. I had a very big fear about that for initially. So this purging, I think that we're going through currently requires, like I said in the beginning of the reading, we need to go in depth and to use more different strategies, different techniques, different modalities to accelerate our ascension, in order to accelerate the ascension of the planet. I can't believe we're 30. Guys, I feel like I should start over. This is just too long. Like, who wants to spend 30 minutes listening to me? If you're still with me, cool. Temperance, yeah, of course. I already pre-shuffled the cards, so it's a good thing I did, because we need to move on. Justice, yeah. Not surprised to see Justice, not surprised to see the Tower. Yeah. So 3 major arcanas: Justice, Temperance, and the Tower. Think about that. Right? These 3 major arcanas together. There's the major event, the shift. The shift. We've been talking about the shift forever. Since the 70s, we've been talking about the shift. The mental shift, which I think kind of started with the Law of One and the Edgar Cayce readings. Kind of made everybody think about the shift. And the shift that we're going through this week is very mental. Yeah. Very much mental. And I think it involves worthiness. Worthy of our mind. What is worthy of our mind space? What is worthy of our thoughts? What is real? What is not real to us? What is justified? What is not justified? What is righteous? What is unrighteous? And what is karmic, too? I think we're going through some karmic shifts, for sure. Astrologically, I'm not surprised. There's a whole shit going on. This whole month, I already said it, was the month of March was crazy. And the first week of April is the same. So, the fact that we have the Seven of Swords kind of in the middle with the Knight of Swords, not jumping to conclusions, seeing the truth. Again, the truth. Because it's almost like we're waking up to lies as a collective. And we all see the evidence of that. Not just in the awakened community, but in the unawakened community. And I hate splitting it into two. I don't like that, because at the end of the day, we're all one human race. Just like I don't really like, to be honest, doing specifically readings for starseeds and light workers. But we need it because we have access to different information, and we're more open and receptive to different information. So that's why I do it this way, 33 on the camera when I said that. So we're going to continue doing it like this. But healing, which is why Temperance is there, takes time. And purging takes the ability to look at deceptive energy, to be able to discern the deceptive energy and get to work on it. And that's why the King of Pentacles is there, to put the physical, real effort into, okay, what is a trick? What is, again, going back to the miasma, the matrix, what is really going on in the matrix? What is part of the matrix and what is part of the reality, the real reality? So we're getting truth in that. We're getting justice in that. We're getting karma clearing and purging in that. This is kind of a big reading, guys. Maybe that's why it took me so long to get through it, because there's going to be a lot that happens this week. It's a profound week of major events. It's okay. I didn't mean to make that plural, but I guess it's going to be plural. And it's going to be a profound week on our own individual belief systems as starseeds and lightworkers and wanderer souls, especially within our divine union of feminine and masculine, especially of harmonizing that within, but looking at what to detach from, what to attach to, right? Like what, well, not attach, but yeah, well, no, you know what to attach to, what to give 100% of the effort and whatnot. Okay, I'm going to stop rambling. I hope this helped. Thank you for tuning in. I'll see you in the next one.